Hello, and welcome to Lit Bites, where we pair some of the most tantalizing reads and some of the most appetizing recipes for your enjoyment. I love this time of year, when the weather finally cools down and there are decorations and holiday music on every corner. Such a fun time for new recipes, family activities, and new books to explore. Though oftentimes in the library, I find that some of the holiday-themed fiction goes a little unnoticed just because it's a hectic time of year. So today we're going through and exploring fantastic festive fiction with not only holiday-themed reads, but books that just happen to take place around that time, and some books that aren't centered around a holiday at all, but are a perfect one to mirror the themes of a holiday itself. Let's get started. Today we are featuring a tasting menu with a feast of fantastic festive fiction. All alliteration aside, we have an amazing lineup today. A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, The Gift of the Magi by O. Henry, Hidden Sea by Gregory Maguire, Holidays on Ice by David Sedaris, How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss, The Immortalists by Chloe Benjamin, Jane and the 12 Days of Christmas by Stephanie Barron, Mr. Ives' Christmas by Oscar Huelos, The Murmur of Bees by Sophia Segovia, On Strike for Christmas by Sheila Roberts, One Day in December by Josie Silver, The Polar Express by Chris Van Allsburg, and finally, The Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates. First published in 1843, the novella A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens captured and changed the way we view the holiday. England at the time was in the midst of a number of changes in its culture and history, and was really reshaping how it celebrated Christmas. And this book captured and launched that spirit of goodwill towards men, charity, kindness, family celebrations, and holiday gatherings. The world was mesmerized by the character of Ebenezer Scrooge, who transformed from a curmudgeonly miser who tortured his employees to a pillar of the community, all through the visits of 3 ghosts representing different Christmases in his lifetime. Well, one of the recipes featured in the book is actually one of my favorites around the holidays: stuffing. Scrooge has a chance to view a Christmas celebration for his employee, Mr. Cratchit, and his family. And Mrs. Cratchit would really have the opportunity to use stuffing to show off all of her culinary skills. On one hand, it was a way to use up stale bread or less expensive bread, but it was also a way to really make something special that could stand on its own. This recipe from fictionkitchenpodcast.com takes white bread and combines it with butter, onion, celery, apples, cranberries, and nuts for an amazing transformation. that mirrors that of Scrooge himself. Another classic holiday tale that looked at the importance of love and generosity was the classic O. Henry short story, The Gift of the Magi. A young couple who are short on funds but long on love are faced with the question of how to provide an appropriate Christmas gift for the one that they love. There's a classic twist with the story that is so sweet and heartfelt and provides a classic reminder about what is truly important around this hectic time. One of my own holiday traditions is often to bake quick breads for friends and family. They can be enjoyed as a light breakfast, an afternoon tea, a dessert, and they're really flexible and flavorful. Imagine my surprise when they found that there is actually one called Magi bread or Gift of the Magi bread. You take your favorite dessert bread or sweet bread recipe and you add in some of the amazing flavors that you love that you already have around. It's a great way to use up leftovers from other baking projects. I've seen recipes for this that have dates, banana, coconut, cherries, citrus, chocolate, nuts, and other surprises. So whatever joy you find in the Gift of the Magi bread, share it with someone you love. Whether on stage, screen, or in a story, the tale of the Nutcracker is a classic favorite. Young Clara is given a nutcracker toy by her godfather. On the magical eve of Christmas, anything can happen, and not only does the nutcracker come to life, but Clara must help him defeat the evil Mouse King that's attacking the drawing room. In honor of the ballet and the Sugar Plum Fairy, we have from chindeep.com some amazing sugar plums, which use dried prunes and dates along with other ingredients, which is then rolled in a cinnamon sugar blend for this classic Victorian treat. Also, Gregory Maguire has reimagined the tale of the Nutcracker for modern audiences with some really fun twists. Hidden Sea imagines the backstory of the Nutcracker, revealing how the enchanting creature came to be carved and how he guided an ailing girl named Clara through a dreamy paradise on Christmas Eve. It has a wonderful merging of both the Brothers Grimm's stories from the Black Forest and Hoffmann's tale with the Salons of Munich. At the heart of the story is Godfather Drosselmeyer, the ominous, canny, one-eyed toy maker who's made immortal by the ballet and story, and who presents the once and future Nutcracker to Clara, his goddaughter. And we couldn't discuss a Nutcracker story without having some sort of nut recipe. I absolutely adore the spiced candied nuts that I find at festivals or around the holidays. And daringgourmet.com takes us step by step through the process of creating a sugar syrup and coating the nuts with it and gradually bringing them back from a liquid-coated nut to the solid, sweet dish that will add a perfect crunch to your holiday. If your family traditions tend to feel more nutty than sweet, David Sedaris feels your pain. And his collection, Holidays on Ice, gathers several of his essays and short stories, including not only the favorite Diary of a Macy's Elf, as well as new stories and unpublished treasures, such as Sedaris' tale of tardy trick-or-treaters, the difficulties of explaining the Easter Bunny to the French, what to do if you've been locked out in a snowstorm, what Halloween at the medical examiner's office looks like, and a barnyard Secret Santa scheme gone awry. David's sense of humor has a bit of a bite to it, and so does this drink. The Frostbite Mocktail from thelittlekitchen.net does not include any alcohol, but it still has a lot of flavor. I especially love that they froze blueberries and used them in the drink to not only provide flavor, but an extra chilling effect. I love with mocktails that you can have a very elevated experience, but this is also a beverage that your entire family can enjoy and have fun with. Here in Arizona, it's not always hot chocolate weather. So if you're looking for a cool beverage, try a Frostbite. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. This initial line is instantly recognizable. The outcast Grinch looks down on all the Whos of Whoville and their yearly holiday celebrations and traditions that go just a little bit over the top. He picks apart the silliness of it all and is determined to destroy their holiday, until one of the smallest Whos shows him it's not about what lies under the tree, but what's in one's heart. This charming story about the effects of the Christmas spirit will grow even the coldest and smallest of hearts. Everything looks a little bit different in the land of the Whos, including the holiday feast. And we recommend that you try InLiterature.net's Roast Who Beast. They achieved this amazing looking creation by taking either a chicken or a turkey and attaching additional legs or wings to it. They have a fun step-by-step procedure, and when you bring this to the table, you're going to get quite a reaction from all of the Whos in your Whoville. We're going to switch gears here a little bit. There are a number of holidays and celebrations during this time of year, one of which is the holiday of Hanukkah that explores history, family, and faith in challenging times. Though the multi-award-winning book, The Immortalists by Chloe Benjamin, isn't specifically a Hanukkah story, it does mirror some of the same themes and raises the question of if you knew the date of your death, how would you live your life? It's 1969 in New York City's Lower East Side, and word has spread of the arrival of a mysterious woman, a traveling psychic, who claims to be able to tell anyone the day they will die. The Gold Children, 4 adolescents on the cusp of self-awareness, sneak out to hear their fortunes, and it will change their lives. The prophecies inform their next 5 decades. Simon escapes to the West Coast, searching for love. Dreamy Clara becomes a magician, obsessed with blurring reality and fantasy. Daniel seeks security, and bookish Varya throws herself into longevity research, where she tests the boundaries between science and immortality. This is a sweeping novel of amazing ambition and depth, probing the line between destiny and choice, reality and illusion, this world and the next. As such, it's a deeply moving testament to the power of story, the nature of belief, and the unrelenting pull of familial bonds. For this recipe, we wanted to find a classic that would not only be wonderful with any holiday celebration, but also mirror some of the colors and designs of the book itself. As such, the tangy brisket with fennel and herbs is a great addition. I love the way that bonappetit.com uses a little bit of spice to bring out some of the flavors and then mellows or melds that with the taste of the herbs as well. I also happen to like mint, so I love that they found a way to include it in here too. Traditionally, the Christmas celebration was part of a longer festival or feast time, and the tradition of the 12th night or Three Kings Day remains in many popular cultures. Stephanie Barron lets us experience a historical Christmas Eve celebration in her Jane Austen mysteries, Jane and the 12 Days of Christmas. It is Christmas Eve, 1814, and Jane Austen has been invited to spend the holiday with family and friends at the Vine, the gorgeous ancestral home of the wealthy and politically prominent Shute family. As the year fades and friends begin to gather beneath the mistletoe for the 12 days festivities, Jane and her friends are in a celebratory mood. Mansfield Park is selling nicely. Napoleon has been banished to Elba. British forces have seized Washington, D.C. And on Christmas Eve, John Quincy Adams signs the Treaty of Ghent, which will end a war nobody in England really wanted. For Jane, however, holiday cheer is fleeting. One of the Yuletide revelers dies in a tragic accident. If the accident was in fact murder, the killer is one of Jane's fellow snowbound guests. With clues scattered amidst cleverly crafted charades, dark secrets coming to light during parlor games, and old friendships and secrets returning to haunt the parties, whom can Jane trust to help her discover the truth and stop the killer from striking again? It's a wonderful twist on the classic closed-door mystery, and Stephanie Barron does a fantastic job of balancing the historical facts and characters and mores of the period with a modern reader's sensibilities. So I highly recommend Jane and the 12 Days of Christmas. For this recipe, we actually turned to Jane Austen herself. In a letter, she talked about making black butter. And black butter itself is actually not a dairy product. It's considered like apple butter or pear butter. It is a spread of different fruits that would have been gathered in the harvest season and rendered down with sugar until it created a smooth pureed jam, which was a wonderful way to kind of keep this food fresh and keep it usable throughout the long winter season. It's also an easy recipe to split and share, so it's a wonderful one to give to family and friends this holiday. If you're looking for something a little less syrupy this holiday season, I recommend Mr. Ives' Christmas, which is a truly heartfelt novel. Mr. Ives has a successful career in advertising, a wife and children, and believes he has achieved the typical American dream. But that dream is shattered when his son Robert is killed at Christmas. Overwhelmed by his grief and threatened by the loss of faith in humankind, Mr. Ives begins to question the very foundation of his life. This is part love story of a man for his wife, for his children, his faith, and part meditation on how a person can find spiritual peace in the midst of crisis. Booklist calls it magnificently sad and enchanting, a celebration of giving and of grace. To pair with this particular book, we selected Ensalada Nochebuena from CuriousCuisiniere.com. This beautiful Christmas salad is traditional around this time of year, often served in Hispanic families like those that Mr. Ives works with in his community. I love how they blend so many different flavors and fruits for not only something that's flavorful, but colorful and ultimately really beautiful and nutritious. There are so many heavy foods this time of year. It's fantastic to have something light and refreshing to turn to. This particular salad is often served during Las Posadas, a tradition in many Mexican and Latin American communities, in which the journey of Mary and Joseph is reenacted as they travel from inn to inn and home to home, seeking shelter for the birth of their child. Next book is a translation of Sofia Segovia's The Murmur of Bees. From the day Nana Reja found a baby abandoned under a bridge, the life in a small Mexican town changed forever. Disfigured and covered in a blanket of bees, little Simonopio is for some locals the stuff of superstition, a child kissed by the devil. But he's welcomed by landowners Francisco and Beatriz Morales, who adopt him and care for him as if he were their own. As he grows up, Simonopio becomes a cause for wonder to the Morales family, because when the uncannily gifted child closes his eyes, he can see what no one else can. Visions of all that's yet to come, both beautiful and dangerous. Followed by his protective swarm of bees and living to deliver his adoptive family from threats, both human and those of nature, Simonopio's purpose in Linares will, in time, be divined. Made from honey, Egg whites and nuts. Turrón de Navidad from nourishkitchen.com is a representation of a traditional recipe that came through Africa to Spain, and from there through many of the Latin American countries. It's a popular gift around the holiday season, as well as for home warming gift. It's fairly easy to make, and it definitely is worth a try this holiday season. Written by Nikolai Gogol, the father of Russian literature, in 1831, Christmas Eve, or A Night Before Christmas, is a story that is still read on Christmas Eve in Russian and Ukrainian households as a part of the holiday tradition. It's a zany and mischievous exploration of Ukrainian folklore, in which the devil has loosed himself to cause havoc on Christmas Eve. He has stolen the moon and hidden it away in his pocket so that he can cause havoc, and so that he can secretly court the most beautiful girl in the village, who is also beloved by the local village blacksmith. The devil decides to bring up a snowstorm, and all sorts of crazy adventures ensue on the night before Christmas. To go with this particular story, we had to bring out the Russian tea cookies. Though these aren't necessarily linked with Russian or Ukrainian holidays, they are such a popular treat this time of year, also known as snowballs, and they're a really easy one to make and great for families doing things together. This particular recipe is a part of lordbyronskitchen.com and is featured in their 24 Cookies of Christmas. Sometimes the holidays just get out of hand, which is what the characters encounter in On Strike for Christmas by Sheila Roberts. At Christmas, it seems as if the work is never done. From trimming the tree, mailing the cards, going to the mall, the endless wrapping, the ladies in town are saying bah humbug. This year, Joy and Laura and the rest of their knitting group decide to go on strike. If their husbands and families want a nice holiday filled with parties, decorations, and presents, they'll have to do it themselves. The boycott soon takes on a life of its own when a reporter picks up the story and all the women in town join in. But as Christmas approaches, Joy, Laura, and their husbands confront larger issues in their marriages and discover that a little holiday magic is exactly what they need to come together. This was an absolutely hilarious book along the vein of skipping Christmas, and it's well worth the read. I also love that they give families permission to reimagine the holidays and to scale back and simplify. Several years ago, I made the decision to have a little charcuterie board out in the morning. I had baked a couple of things the day before, and I just put together a meat and cheese tray with some quick bread or rolls, and whenever people got up on Christmas morning, they could enjoy whatever they wanted. So that way, people that needed to sleep in could sleep in, and people that were up before the sun was up wouldn't have to wait for hours to have something to eat. It was a really wonderful tradition that has continued on every year since. Speaking of traditions, I'm going to date myself a little bit, but I remember reading the Polar Express every year since I was a little kid. I absolutely adored the illustrations in here and the story of a young boy lying awake on Christmas Eve wondering if Santa is real. But then, in a cloud of snow and steam, he's welcomed aboard a magical train to the North Pole, the Polar Express, where all the children hope to receive the honor of the first gift of Christmas. The main character takes a journey of magic, hope, and belief. And this is a story for all who believe in the spirit of Christmas and who treasure the sound of a silver bell. If you have a chance, listen to this one as an audiobook. The original cassette narration that we had was done by William Hurt. The newer version features the tones of Liam Neeson. Both are absolutely amazing to listen to and will make this a treat for the ears as well as for your holiday spirit. And for this book, we had to do a hot chocolate recipe. There are a number of amazing ones out there. This particular one is from scratch from 15spatulas.com. I've seen some absolutely amazing variations out there, so as the weather cools off, I give you permission to try them all. Our next book is less about opportunities taken than opportunities missed. With One Day in December by Josie Silver. This book is a tale of two people, 10 chances, and one unforgettable love story. Lori is pretty sure that love at first sight doesn't exist anywhere but the movies. But then, through a misted-up bus window one snowy December day, she sees a man that she knows instantly is the one. Their eyes meet, there's a moment of magic, and then her bus drives away. Certain that they're fated to find each other again, Lori spends the next year scanning every bus stop and cafe in London. But she doesn't find him until they reunite at a Christmas party when her best friend giddily introduces her to her new boyfriend. It's Jack, the man from the bus. What follows for Lori, Sarah, and Jack is 10 years of friendship, heartbreak, missed opportunities, roads not taken, and destinies reconsidered. One Day in December is a joyous, heartwarming, and immensely moving love story to escape into and remind us that fate takes inexplicable turns along the road to happiness. For this particular book, we had to feature the Delancey Street Special, or the DC Special. It appears several times throughout the story and is a wonderful recipe on its own. In here, you take your leftover chicken or turkey from your holiday celebration and you stack it on your favorite sandwich bread with layers of cranberry sauce and lettuce. They use blue cheese in here, but you can also use goat cheese or feta cheese. However, this would also be fantastic with some thinly sliced apple. This was actually one of my dad's favorite sandwiches. It's a great recipe to break out on those after-holiday holidays, such as Black Friday and Boxing Day, when you're looking for something with the flavors of the holiday without all of the fuss and pageantry. And our final book today is a popular one that represents a relatively new holiday with venerable roots. Based off of traditional African harvest festivals, the celebration of Kwanzaa gathers friends and families together for 7 nights of community and reflection on 7 principles, each represented by a single day and a single candle on the kinara. The principles of unity, cooperation, self-determination, purpose, and creativity are present not only in the holiday, but also in our final book. The Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates won several awards, was a New York Times bestseller, and was selected for Oprah's Book Club. Young Hiram Walker was born into bondage. When his mother was sold away, Hiram was robbed of all memory of her, but was gifted with a mysterious power. Years later, when Hiram almost drowns in a river, that same power saves his life. This brush with death brings an urgency in Hiram and a daring scheme to escape from the only home he's ever known. So begins an unexpected journey that takes Hiram from the corrupt grandeur of Virginia's proud plantations to desperate guerrilla cells in the wilderness, from the coffin of the Deep South to dangerously idealistic movements in the North. Even as he's enlisted in the underground war between slavers and the enslaved, Hiram's resolve to rescue the family he left behind endures. Now, Kwanzaa food reflects the diversity of the families who embrace the holidays, ranging from American comfort food to African and Caribbean flavors. Today, we're featuring a simple and flavorful chicken stew that reflects the traditional nature of Kwanzaa and the African recipes. They make a wonderful base for the stew by combining tomato sauce with peanut butter. Holiday books are kind of like cookies. There is something for everybody, and there are all different types and so many available. So we had to feature the 24 Cookies of Christmas collection from lordbyronskitchen.com. They have an amazing variety in here with such fun flavors and styles and designs that anybody can make some of these different delights. And we are collecting some of the top favorite books and authors that you might enjoy as well for your holiday assortment. From Joanne Fluke and Debbie McComber to Frederick Bachman and Kristen Hanna. From Fanny Flagg to Ellen Hildebrand, there's something for everybody. And we hope that you'll take the opportunity to pick up a holiday book of your own this season. And if your schedule won't let you come into the library, we recommend our electronic collections through Overdrive, Libby, Hoopla, and more. They're easy to use, and you can get ebooks or audiobooks downloaded to your device or streamed through the app. From your favorite authors to new friends, it's a great way to explore electronic materials. Maybe you're looking more for music for your holiday party or to set the mood. Freegal and Hoopla have you covered. With albums and top artists, they've got an amazing assortment of music for all of your holiday needs. And they're available free for streaming. Plus, with Freegal, you can download 5 songs every week for each library card in your family. That's over $250 a year in free music. And finally, if you're looking for video content, the library has you covered. Not only does Hoopla have videos, but you can also check out Canopy and RB Digital for additional streaming options. They have movies, TV shows, documentaries, and more, all at a click away. These are also available as an app as well. Well, thank you so much for joining us today for our Lit Bites Festive Fiction. Bon appetit and happy reading, everybody. And bye for now.